Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Lists, a little series I'm doing to cover a bunch of broad subjects that interest me. List stands for Life is Short, because I always think, even in the grand scheme of things, if life is short, there's still plenty of time to talk about a bunch of dumb or interesting topics. For today's topic, we're going to be talking about why I don't hate and why I find an interesting journey with how hate is. There is an interesting concept, and that concept is called hate. For me, that word has been an interesting describing one that I've always tried to stray away from because of my perspective about how life is. Going into the roots of it, for me, I like to think a bit more scientifically and sometimes philosophically. But when I think about life, I think of the first thing of how rare it can be. If you just look about us trying to find life in the solar system, besides us, it's so hard to find anything, and I believe right now there have been no signs of actual true life. But if you then go to intelligent life, that's a whole nother ballpark of we don't know how much intelligent life is actually out there. There could be some, there could be none, we could be alone in this mess. And it's that last part about being alone is why I personally have found hate just such a thing that I stray away from. If we may be one of the only actual intelligent life forms in the entire universe, who knows, I find it that every living moment I have, I appreciate because of that. My reason to live is just because I'm living right now. And that right there has been an important factor on who I am as a person and me just developing throughout my years of being alive. When I see a lot of the time of so many interesting things happening throughout the world and how many different people there are and how much hate can go around in life, it makes me truly sad to see how some people can just be so hateful or so spiteful, and how I feel like they lost that idea of how rare life can be. If life truly is as rare as we think it is, and it might be, why is there have to be so much emphasis on hate and negativity when we just want to be able to live out our life that might be so rare that this is our only chance to do it? That's exactly why I don't try and hate or hate at all, because when I think about it at the end of the day, I just want to live a happy life and be able to say I did at the end. And I feel like that's a perspective that I would say everyone can benefit of just taking a step back and realizing what we actually are as a species and what we've gone through and what we are now, and how maybe we just have to try and put some more positivity in the environment and the society we have now. You go on social media and it is a bloodbath of anything but being civil, but right there is where I just really try and just keep to myself and try to personally not let those negative things really get to me, and try and just appreciate the stuff I have and appreciate the life I have. I don't have the most luxury life by far. I'm just one of the random people who lives it, but right there is where I feel like really just speaks to me, is just being a random guy, just being able to do things that interest me and just having some fun, and not necessarily having to have a whole list of reasons of things I'm hateful for and having to dissect them so much and having to get into the nitty gritty, and just really being happy with the hate. I don't know how many people truly get comfortable with the idea of hate and just really liking to get into it, but it makes sense. I've said it a couple times in videos, but the human brain likes to go to negativity more than positivity. And with how it is and how hate can be, that makes sense if we want to go towards it more. But because of that, and when I learned it, I always try and stray away from it and try and encourage the positivity to my brain. Because at the end of the day, if you live a life full of hate and negativity, you're not going to live much of a good life at all, because yeah, maybe you did a bunch of good stuff, but you were just a person that you couldn't maybe even have been happy of. This goes into the reasons of why I never really hold grudges or don't really get bothered by much, because of just that idea of I'm living life and I'm going to live it to the best. For me, there are some people who I have seen who I will never have any sort of respect for, but the word hate never comes into mind because at the end of the day, I just want to live my life and they're going to go live theirs however they want to, and that's completely fine by me. And that's where I try not to have that idea of they're still stuck in my head and I'm just being super angry towards them all the time and getting really into that negativity. I just like to push it away. When something bothers me, it's never about just trying to snap it out of existence. It's about just recognizing what it was and properly letting it diffuse instead of fueling it every single second I'm alive. That right there is why I just try not to hate, because I don't want to become a hateful person. I just want to be able to be someone who people can be around and have some good laughs with. That's at the end of the day really all I've ever wanted to accomplish, because I just feel like trying to strive for positivity and trying to limit the amount of hate that you feel for stuff, it's an interesting idea that, at least for me, I feel like has left me more happy and fulfilled when trying to eliminate hate and trying not to fully get into its grasp. The real advice I want to give is just maybe thinking more of that idea of what life truly is and how it might just be so rare that maybe just taking in those small things and just having that idea of positivity more may be beneficial than trying to really get into the hate and negativity. It really depends on who you are and how you are as a person, but I feel like that idea of just trying to ground yourself with the idea of what life truly is in a biological sense and scientifically, I feel like gave me some comfort in just realizing what the true purpose of life can be and how you can have different goals and different opinions and all these different things that you can still work towards, but you can still do it happily and not get lost in a bunch of things just because of how you are as a person and going through emotions. My reason to not hate is just because there's no point into hate if you have to involve yourself in it and for it to not make you feel good in this life that, hey, life may be short, but hey, time is long, so you're able to fit a lot into that time. So why not, instead of putting a bunch of negativity into it, why not just take those positive things and just really put that in your time frame and be able to live a life that can be long and can be fun, and you can truly remember that it was a happy one. Anyways, that's going to be all for today. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.